Okay, friends, I am going to go ahead and get started. This is our Stories of Hope call. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have six people who, a few years ago, probably figured they would never be taking these products, let alone sharing them. And so I am really excited that they have decided to share their stories tonight. I am Amy Welch. I'm a Sapphire Ambassador with Plexus, and all that means is that I have been working this business and am almost to the top of the company. But 4 years ago, I was a complete skeptic, not only with the industry, but I didn't think you needed supplements. I have thyroid disease, and when I finally ordered the products after saying no for a very long time, I was 100% convinced that I was going to get my money back with that money back guarantee. I came home, told my husband not to tell anybody, and then the products actually made me feel better. And then I felt so good, and my autoimmune disease improved so much that I had to share, and that is the rest of my story. But tonight, you are going to hear from men and women who also probably didn't think they were going to have a story to share. So we're going to get started. They're only going to be a few minutes each. So thank you for tuning in. And Brittany Jenkins, you are up first. I'm going to unmute you. Thank you for agreeing to share. Go ahead, girl.
Hey guys. So I'm actually hiding in my barn from my kids, so y'all just excuse the background. My name's Brittany. I've been with Plexus and taken the products for 2.5 years now, and my journey's been a long one, a long, crazy one. But I'm gonna give y'all the shorter version because there's lots of other awesome people on here that want to share their stories with y'all as well. So my journey started back in 2011. I was at work and I started feeling strange. I started feeling like I was going to pass out. I started getting really sensitive to the lights. All kind of crazy symptoms started happening. At first I brushed it all off, figured it was nothing to worry about. Well, little did I know what was going to happen. Over the next year, I had a slew of crazy symptoms come up. My health rapidly deteriorated. All the while I was going to the doctor, getting tests ran, and my tests kept coming back normal. So I had horrible headaches, light sensitivity. I had fatigue out of this world. I had every GI disturbance you could possibly imagine. I lost 50 pounds in this year that couldn't be explained. My joints would swell, my ankles would swell so bad that I couldn't put shoes on. I got to the point where I was bedridden. I had to quit my job. I was obviously terrified because all my tests kept coming back normal, and obviously I was becoming a vegetable, for lack of better words. But so after a little over a year, I finally got a diagnosis, and it was from a brain MRI and more blood work, and they finally diagnosed me with Lyme disease from a tick bite. And so I was super excited because I finally had a diagnosis, but little did I know I had a really long road ahead of me. For the next few years, I spent them on every different antibiotic combination that you could possibly imagine. They kept switching them up because nothing was working. I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and I had no quality of life whatsoever. So sorry, my cat's playing with a toy. So I was deteriorated. I was on not only antibiotics, but they had me on all kind of other stuff. I tried natural stuff. I was taking every probiotic that I possibly could, every natural supplement that I thought I could. And there was a girl, Marion, on my Facebook who y'all are going to meet tonight. I had been watching her story. Now, Marion was just a girl on my Facebook at this point in time. We are from the same town, so I had mutual friends with her, but I'd never actually met her. So I had noticed I had followed her story of she had all these health problems, and all of a sudden she was feeling fabulous. So I started chatting with her, and she kept telling me about these supplements and gut health and how it can make me feel so much better and help me. And I was like, okay, crazy lady. I've tried everything, at this point in my mind, I was under the supervision of all these doctors. I was on all these medicine, nothing was working. So why would anything that she had work? Well, the last combination of antibiotics I had, I swear it almost killed me. So that's when I threw in the towel. I was like, I'm going to a natural doctor. I'm going to see what they say. Like, I'm not taking these medicines anymore. So I went to the natural doctor and she goes, oh, we need to start with your gut health. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this crazy plexus chick actually was onto something. So I contacted her and I said, okay, I'm going to order and I'm going to try your products. Well, at this point in my mind, like I said, I tried everything. I ordered with every intention of them not working. I was going to send them back. It was just going to be another thing that I tried. Well, I don't admit that I'm wrong very often, but I was wrong. A couple months in, I started getting my energy back. I noticed I wasn't sensitive to lights anymore. My headaches were better. And I was someone that during this time lived off Starbucks and frozen yogurt because that was literally it. I just needed coffee and sugar, coffee and sugar. And I didn't need that anymore. It was crazy. And fast forward a few months later, all my symptoms were disappearing one by one. And I was just completely blown away. Never thought that that would happen. So here I am 2.5 years later, and Lyme disease is a thing of the past. But not only have I gained my health back, whenever you join Plexus, you also get a family. You get a support system. I wasn't expecting that. You get friends that you didn't know you wanted or needed. And I certainly wasn't expecting that either. So it's been, even though I was skeptic and I didn't want to try it and I was sure it wouldn't work, it's literally been the biggest blessing. So if you're on here and you're a skeptic, well, we've all been there, and I can tell you that there is hope. There's absolutely hope. But I don't want to take up too much more time. My friend Katrina is actually on here, so she would love to speak to y'all next. Take it away, girl.
I can unmute you, Katrina, I think. It's letting me unmute everyone except you, so you may have to unmute yourself. Don't you guys love live technology, right? I think they always write it to where something has to go wrong when you're like, live.
Okay.
Okay, there she is. Yes. Okay, go.
Like the minute that I went to unmute myself, it went away. Everything went away. So I had to log back in. Thanks, Brittany. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, okay. So my name is Katrina, and I have been on this Plexus journey now. Actually, next month it'll be 3 years. We actually got started in Plexus for my baby girl who was only 4 months, well, probably closer to 6 months. No, yeah, 6 months old at the time. She was just having chronic belly issues. The doctor kept telling us it was colic. They put her on Zantac and all these different things just to try to get her to feel better. She wasn't throwing up, but they said it could be colic, it could be reflux, all these things. But the medication that they put her on was affecting her way worse than the actual colic, what they said was colic itself. And I just knew that it wasn't colic. I had experienced another baby with colic, and I knew a lot of moms with babies with colic, and that's not what this was. She was just balling up and just screaming for hours every night in pain. And so luckily I have a friend who is a pediatrician, but is a more holistic doctor. She doesn't immediately go for the prescription meds. And she said, I really think she needs to be on a probiotic. I think she had such a fast birth that her gut flora didn't have time to level out, and she didn't get all your microbes and all this stuff. And I was like, whatever, I was like, whatever. Had never heard about probiotics, didn't even know what they were. But I said, you know what, I'm willing to try anything at this point. And we did try one other probiotic, but it didn't do anything. So when my friend Sarah reached out to me and said, hey, have you ever heard of Plexus? She knew what I was going through with the baby. And I was like, no, and I'm not interested in another network marketing company because I'd been there, done that. And she was like, no, you don't have to sell anything. I just, want to I want to see if this will help Harper. So I was like, sure, whatever. So we did the probiotic and I gave it to her by opening a capsule of the ProBio 5 and mixing it in about 10 cc's of my breast milk, just mixing it around, syringing it up, and then giving it to her. And by the end of the first week, so about 6 to 7 days, she went from 3 to 4 hours of crying a night to around an hour. She was nursing better, just doing better. And by the end of the first month, she had gained a pound and wasn't crying at all. No belly issues whatsoever. So, one thing that we found out that kind of went along with that is she's not lactose intolerant, but she has and it's not really an allergy either, but her gut could not process the protein in milk called casein. So we had to cut back on the dairy, but not being able to process the casein goes along with her gut health. So it was kind of twofold there. So anyway, she's been on the probiotic ever since, and she's not had any problems. The child has literally only run a fever when she cuts teeth, and then it's very minor. She's literally been sick twice in her life, never been on an antibiotic. Both of those were viral. She's now 3.5. My other 2 kids had constant ear infections, constant strep throat, all that stuff. And I was like, man, where was this when they were little? But she's doing great. And the long and short of it is, after we'd been giving it to her, my husband and I were like, why are we giving this to our infant, but we're not taking it ourselves? So then we started taking the triplex, because I was that mom who so I'm 42. I was 39, almost 40 when I had Harper. And even before I got pregnant with her, I could not get myself out of bed. When I was working, I would come home from work, lay down on the couch and sleep until it was time to make dinner, get that cleaned up, and then go to bed because I was so tired all the time. And then when I was pregnant with her, it just got worse. And I did not want to be that mom. Like, I wanted to be present for her and for my older kids. I have a senior in high school, a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So who wants to be doing that and miss out on all that? So we started the triplex, and I'll be the first to tell you, it's not an overnight miracle cure, but by the end of the first week, just on Slim, I did not need a nap. I did not have the urge to nap. I would try to lay down on the couch because I was used to laying down and napping, and I couldn't fall asleep. And I would be like, screw it. I'd get up and do something else. By a couple of months in, I was frustrated because I wasn't losing pounds, but I had to buy new jeans because I had lost inches. And this was just on the triplex at the time. So long and short of it, 3 years in, we're still trucking. After a couple of months on the triplex, and my husband, he did a little self-experiment after 3 months and said, I'm just going to stop taking it, see what happens. And he, like 3 weeks later, he said, have you ordered yet? And I said, not yet. And he said, well, you need to do that, because he felt like he'd been hit by a Mack truck. And he said, I don't care what we have to do, but we will never go off of this again. And so then that's when we decided maybe I would start sharing, because other people need to know what I have. So we started sharing, and long story short, here I am. So
Thank you so much. I love your story, especially I always forget that it starts with sweet little Harper. Like, how awesome that you just tried it. That's all it takes, is just to try it, even if you weren't sure it was going to work. So Nicole.
Oh, yeah. Nicole's back. Sorry.
That's okay. Nicole has a really good story too. Go ahead, Nicole.
Hey, sorry about that. I love Katrina's story, and it was so funny. I almost laughed out loud when she said about her husband feeling like he got hit by a Mack truck. Because I always would say that expression, that I felt like I was an 80-year-old that got hit by a Mack truck. And every morning when I woke up, I would have the hardest time waking up. So just a little background on me. First of all, my name's Nicole Odermatt. Sorry, I'm a Plexus ambassador. I've been doing this for 2 years when I started on the products. So before Plexus, I was just like a mom zombie, is kind of how I describe myself. And just, exhausted, brain fog, eating sugary candy, cookies, chocolate, all that kind of stuff all day. I was addicted to sweet tea and have been like my whole life. I would drink like at least half a gallon a day. My mom made the best sweet tea, so I would live on it. And now I can't even drink it. It's like way too sweet for me. I have like one a year now. It's like my limit. I also used to do a ton of caffeine and Red Bulls and stuff like that. And I suffered with a lot of back pain, just overall like chronic inflammation and pain, and things like that. But so I was just at the time when I heard of Plexus and when I started Plexus, my daughter was 1.5 years old, and I was still dealing with postpartum depression. I was still kind of trying to get through that. I, in the beginning, really had a hard time even like realizing that's what it was or like admitting it, and kind of like a suffering in silence type thing. And my doctors did tell me I had it, and I refused the prescriptions that they gave me. Just decided I wanted to deal with it on my own, which was just not really a great idea in a way, because it really was hard on our family. I just wanted to be the best mom that I could be. And I guess I wanted to, do it on my own. But I was just super moody and snappy and just depressed. And I, of course, love my daughter so much, spent all the time with her and loved every minute of it, but I had the hardest time like staying awake. It's hard to explain, but I mean, the exhaustion, the fatigue that I had just like overtook me all the time. I could barely get through reading a book, like a baby book with her, without my eyes like just wanting to, like they're closing down on me. And it was just dumb. Like I didn't want to be like that. So I would nap with her at least once a day. If she took 2 naps a day, I was trying to take 2 naps a day. Not good. But all that, and I also had anxiety, and I didn't really realize it at the time that it was anxiety, kind of until later. And so that was a little bit hard on me because I didn't really know how to deal with it, because I didn't label it as what it was. But anyway, so when I first heard about Plexus, I had seen my sister-in-law, Amy Morton, post about gut health, but I also saw her post about block. The gut health stuff went in one ear and out the other, didn't care, didn't know what that was. I heard block, that you could block your carbs and sugars. And I was like, oh, I'm there, because I can eat all my sweets, all my junk food, and just block half of it and still eat all my crap. So I was like, that's all I want. And she was like, but gut health, but this, but that, you have these stomach issues. And I was like, I don't care. I just want the block. Like literally just give me the block. How do I order it? And she finally like somehow got through to me, and I ended up not ordering the block. I started with the gut health stuff. I started with what's called the triplex. It's like our gut health system that really gets to the root of what's going on and slowly starts healing your gut. So so grateful that I had her to steer me in the right direction. Eventually did start using block, and I love it. It's like a staple, you gotta have it. But anyways, when I started, I got my products. I was excited, but I was pretty sure that I was going to return it all. I was so nervous that I actually shared my order with my best friend, and we split all the pills up, all the capsules, and she took her half home in a Ziploc bag, and I kept mine. And we were like, yeah, we're not going to like this, whatever, we'll just try it. And then, 2 weeks go by, and we realized we love it, and we realized we only had a 2-week supply each, and we need to get more. So she ended up being my first customer, and that's kind of how this all started. Started sharing with family and friends eventually, but originally I didn't really want to tell anybody. Just kind of told my husband and my best friend, and didn't think it was going to work. But you know what? It did. I started to get more energy. I started to have less headaches. I used to deal with headaches on an almost daily basis, if not multiple times a day. I also had chronic constipation my whole life, and it's kind of TMI, but I had a lot of stomach issues, pain, just stomach pains and stuff like that, those started to go away in the beginning, which was amazing. And then my sister-in-law told me, she was like, this, the pink drink and the probiotic, they really might help you lower your sweets cravings and help you like not eat as much ice cream. And when she told me that, I legit got emotional. I was like, ice cream? Like, oh no, I'm not giving up my ice cream. I don't think I want to do this anymore if it's going to take away my ice cream. And I'm not joking. Like, I actually, like, something came over me. Like, I was like, oh no, like, almost thought I was going to cry. And she was like, no, 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 it's okay. You can still eat some ice cream. You can still enjoy it if you want to, but it might help you a little bit. I was eating ice cream twice a day, every single day. It was bad. And I had a deep freezer filled with a ton of half-gallon ice creams from my favorite place, the only place I'll buy it from. Anyways, as time goes on, I realized I'm not eating as much ice cream anymore. My freezer had been stocked for or not a month, but months. It was just still full. I just wasn't going through it anymore. So that was actually pretty cool. And I was surprised to learn that it's okay to not eat that much ice cream. And I felt okay about it. It wasn't like a vice anymore. I didn't need that chocolate every single hour of the day. When I used to work in restaurants as a server, I would carry a stash of candy in my apron pockets, a stash in the drawer so I could share with everybody, but I also had an emergency stash in my locker. And if we ran out of all of that, I was the first one to go over across the street to CVS and buy more because I had to have candy all day long. All that's gone. Like, I could care less about candy. Although if I want to enjoy some, I do, whatever. But it's just been amazing with all that stuff. And then my back pain issues were kind of like a big part of my testimony. About a month into taking Plexus, I added in a product called Ease, which helps with inflammation and back pain. And then about a month after using it, realized that I was carrying my daughter without having so much pain. I not using my heating pad as often. I used to sleep with it every night. I had a heating pad that I would heat up all the time. Anytime I was sitting down on the couch, I'd be using it. If I went to bed, I'd have it with me. I went like 2 weeks, a 2-week period without even touching my heating pad and couldn't find it, and realized that's when this is pretty awesome stuff. Like, I honestly have to share this with people. So that was pretty cool. And when I first came to learn about Plexus, I attended an event sort of like this, but it was a Facebook event. And I heard Amy Welch's story, who's on here hosting this. And what got to me, and I think this is what helped me pick the triplex after all. What got to me was when she said that she no longer lived for the coffee pot all day, and she had the energy to play all day with her kid. And that's what got me, because I was feeling like that, like a mom that just wasn't the mom that I wanted to be. And I honestly prayed to God so many times. Like, I remember holding my baby in the rocking chair, rocking her to sleep. She'd be fast asleep. And I would be praying to God for something to change. And I didn't know what it was going to be, what form it would come in. I didn't know it was going to be anything like this, to be honest, or it was going to be a supplement at all. I just wanted whatever it was on me just lifted, because the chronic pain, the anxiety, the depression, the exhaustion, all that, feeling like a failure of a mom was not what I wanted to be. Sorry. So when this came and changed all that around, game changer, had to share it with more people. So like, that's my mission, to help other people feel as good as I do, help find moms that were feeling like I was, so that they can find healing too. So that's my story. Sorry for getting emotional there, but thank you guys. I'm gonna pass it off to Tanya, I believe. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Tanya. I don't know how to really follow Nicole. My story is long. My story is, and I will try really hard to cut it short. And as she's talking, I'm getting all of these memories of, I'm in my 40s. My children are adults. And there was like my whole 30s, from really 28 until almost 41. I was, I don't even know that I could be qualified as a zombie mom. Like, I think some zombies may have had more energy than I did. I started, I had Christopher, and then at 28, I I had like 9 different surgeries in that process from having him, and he was born in 98. And then, so in 2004, I ended up having a radical hysterectomy. And like, I came to Plexus because I was miserable and I was sick. And like, I took the product for so long without talking to any of y'all. Like, that was the whole thing. Amy and I were clear, like, if you put me in there, if you make me talk to people, I'm out. But I had, after that, like, I just got so many different issues that came from my body being allergic to the hormones that I couldn't take. I started having chronic migraines, and I was put just on all sorts of different medication. And there were times that I would find myself laying in my closet floor in the dark, and just, that was it. Like, I couldn't talk to anybody, couldn't see anybody, and I would end up in the emergency room. That would last for days. And I would end up just in the emergency room like it was nothing. And I just didn't have a way out of it. And then it got to a point where like I was hurting. So that lasted for a while, and we knew like that it was just getting worse. And no matter what we tried to do, they were talking, and I'm sure a lot of people have experienced that, Botox and all of these injections and different types of acupuncture, and nothing seemed to work for me. Like I would have multiple a week. I'd end up in the ER. And then I started having falling spells. When I wake up in the morning and my joints wouldn't work, I would just fall down. And that was absolutely 100% miserable. I didn't know where to go from there. So Daniel was going out of town for work, and he was like, babe, you really got to go see somebody. I'm afraid to leave you. And I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Would have never been something that I thought about. The symptoms were different. I had kids. He was out of town. They were in school. I, was to be driving them, all of these things. And it just didn't seem like it was going to be something that was going to work. And that just got worse. My factors were so high that at the time I was diagnosed with crippling RA. And we didn't expect that I would use my hands or that I would walk after a certain age. Like it was just to that point where it was just going to spread. Right. And then it started attacking joints and nerves, and it hit my neck. I had like disc surgery, disc replacement surgery, all of these things. And in the meantime, like I would do things with my kid, and then I would be done. Like that was it. I could give what little I had to them. Christopher ran cross country and track, and Christina was in the band. So I would give to them on Friday evening and on Saturday morning. And then I wouldn't feel like giving and doing or going anywhere until like Thursday. It was just, I was good to get them home. Daniel would go to the grocery store on his home from work. On his way home, he would cook, all of these things. It was just what had became a normal life for us. And then not long after having the disc surgery, my body was just really in a flood of having all of these medicines. Guys, at this point, I'm taking 15 different medications, and then like 4 of them are pain meds and nerve blockers, right? So we did 6 months worth of testing. I had 11 procedures in 6 months, like being put to sleep, trying to figure out what was going on. And that just adds to all of that crap that goes into your body. I couldn't eat. I had lost 60 pounds in that 6-month period. And it was my gallbladder that was diseased. And when we did the gallbladder surgery, they found cancer. They found a stage 2 malignant melanoma it was in a large area in my stomach, but in a few other areas of my body. Now I am taking multiple injections, all of these pain medicines, all of this other medicine, and my rheumatologist says, you're going to have to come off of it. No clue, right? What do I do? How do I feel like even somewhat human? Because right now I have no quality of life, I felt like. And the whole time, Nicole had mentioned Amy, the whole time, like, Nicole, Amy and I have known each other for a long time. Our husbands went to school together, and it's always been this process of Amy going, hey, I can help. Leave me alone. Let me block this lady for a little while. Hey, I can help. But I'm going back in for another surgery, and I'm sitting in my rheumatologist's office, and I'm panicking because he's told me that I have to stop taking these meds. And he's like, we've got to find something. And he tells me, my rheumatologist says, I have a patient that's been using this natural stuff. And as soon as he said what it was, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm going to call her when I leave. And I did. And I started on Triplex. Now, I, at the time, was in so much pain. and had so much depression and so many issues going on that I would sleep 1 to 2 hours a week. I would be lucky to sleep a few hours, during the week, right? So when we started, Amy immediately agreed, and she's like, you need to start on the triplex. And this was back when we only had the one form of Slim. She was like, just trust me, just do it. And I'm like, all right, sure. And I did. And I noticed that like within a short period of time, I was sleeping a little better. I was feeling good, or feeling better. I was up and moving and doing. And then months in, it was like a totally different person. And Daniel was like, wow, hey, wait a minute. You're my wife. Like, you're the lady I married, right? Because we've been married for 25 years. He spent 10 years with a miserable wife. And that just tells you the kind of man he is. But I immediately, I was just like, oh my gosh, all of these things. And then my birthday in 2017, we were having dinner and we were just having a discussion. And he was like, you're better right now than I've seen you in I don't know how long. And he's like, I really think whatever you're doing, whatever you're taking, it's making a difference. And shortly after that, I started seeing my doctors, making sure things were okay. And they're like, I don't think you need these medicines. My RA medicine my RA factor have fallen below registering. And I was able to be released from my rheumatologist. Like all of these things, the only doctor that I was still seeing was my oncologist that I was having, making sure that I didn't have any other spots on my body, and my retinal specialist because I have some spots in my eyes. Like it was just amazing. And Amy was like, all right, so are you just going to keep that to yourself? And here's where it gets great for me, because my husband will tell you now I'm in my second plexus journey. We spent a year in Fort Worth, and I spent a year eating and having a great time, right? And I put on a lot of weight because I was really just eating like a lot. And that block that Nicole was talking about a few minutes ago, I didn't really use it quite right. I just ate what I wanted. So yes, Amy, testimony 2.0, because I enjoyed my life for a year because I'd spent so many years not enjoying it. I had such a great time. And I was like, whatever happens, I'm just going to take care of it. And then they released Metaburn, because I was starting to stress about my weight and my size and all of these things. And holy cow, it's like a new jump start. So whoever talks to you about stuff, like for me, that has made me feel great. It's helped with my energy. It's helped with my overall balance. I'm losing inches. I'm losing weight. It's fantastic. I'm a totally different person. And I have this whole support staff and these loving sisters, brothers, family. I tell all of these ladies on our team that's having babies, I want to be that fun aunt. Those things I didn't get to do for my kids, if I show up at your door, that's because I want to do those with yours, right? So I can't tell you enough just how blessed I've been. And that's it. I've talked way too long. I get to pass you guys off. I'm going to get fussed at here, but I promised my girls I would do it. I get to introduce to you the man with the hair, that luscious mane. We all call it delicious. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Steve Welch.
Oh, that is absolutely horrible. That's quite like that. Comment or something on the chat. I don't know how good my cell phone reception is.
It's not
tonight.
It's not any good. Yeah, I'm sorry. We can't. You are. I can't even see you.
Okay. Give me just a minute. Let me try the Wi-Fi. It didn't work very good earlier. It dropped me almost immediately.
So I'm going to talk so we're not staring at the frozen screen of what I think might be his finger, I hope. I want to thank everyone, though, in case Steve doesn't get to talk. I want to thank everyone for sharing. And I know a lot of people watching or who are going to watch the recorded version of this are in the same place we are. None of us thought it would work. Tanya, Brittany, Nicole, we all were like, you're crazy. How can a probiotic change your life? But when you're at a point to where, for me, my thyroid disease was ruling my life, and I honestly was praying like Nicole said. I would get home from work after my commute and put baby Adelaide on the floor and lay on the couch. And she was kind of left to her own devices as a toddler because I was too tired to be engaged. She was only about 18 months when I started Plexus, but I would try to talk her and the family into movie day instead of going outside and play because I didn't want to be outside. I wanted to be on the couch. And so that was not the life I wanted for my kiddo, let alone for me. And so the one thing I love about Plexus is that it works for skeptics. Like, you can be a skeptic because you know how you feel now. You've got nothing to lose because you're not going to feel any worse. The only thing that can happen is you feel better and love it and you eat your words like we did, or you get your money back. So, Steve, I'm going to check one more time to see if we can hear you. If not, I'm going to go ahead and end it for the call.
All right, so let's test it. Tell me if my connection is any better. I see nodding heads.
You're
I see
good.
Libby, Lois. Okay, good. So I'm going to try to keep this brief since you had to stare at my unfocused finger there for a minute on the camera. And I'm going to tell you right now that before I'm done, I'm probably going to cry. So I'm going to hold that as a teaser to the end because I've been listening this whole time. Amy introduced me a bit. I'm her husband. I was the first person when she met a stranger on the internet and decided that we were going to try these products to tell her, that's fine, but we're not telling anybody because I'm a scientist by training. And I was terrified that I would be ridiculed at work because we bought magic beans to make us feel better. It's just not the kind of guy I am. So we signed up. If you haven't heard Amy's testimony, reach out to her. Our lives are immeasurably improved. I'm going to give you a man's perspective. Total skeptic. I was certain these products would not work. It's some sort of a scheme, and because you paid money, you want to feel better. 30 days in, I went and had routine blood work done at work. My cholesterol was down almost 40 points. I get my cholesterol checked pretty regularly. I've always had cholesterol over 200. I have a family history of high cholesterol. I have a family history of heart disease. I keep an eye on it, but I'd never been able to manage it. To have it drop that much in 30 days, and I should say that I started out taking the Triplex along with Ease, at the time, Fast Relief, for some chronic discomfort issues. So to be 30 days in and have my cholesterol dropped, I thought it was amazing. I also thought it was a bad test, and I would go back and get my blood work done in a few months, and it would be right back up to 220 where it's always at, and I would be right because that's important. About another 2 months in, we were getting into the summertime, and for us in Houston, what that meant was entertaining friends. So we would have a brisket out on the smoker and steaks on the grill, and we'd be drinking beer in the pool. And unfortunately for me, what that meant is I would get this terrible pain in my feet. It's a buildup of uric acid in your blood. It's called gout, and it's insufferable if you know anyone that's had it or had it yourself. We were into sort of early June, and I realized I hadn't had a flare-up yet, and that's not like me. For 10 years, by that point, I'd always had a flare-up. It was like clockwork. The red meat, the alcohol, I'd have a flare-up. And I started thinking, well, maybe it's got something to do with that stuff that Amy bought. But still, I kind of ignored it. A couple more months in, my daughter was just about 2 years old. I was playing with her on the floor one day. And I picked her up sort of up over my head so I could feel really strong. And as I was holding her up above my head, I paused, literally in tears, because I realized that before I picked her up, I didn't stop and think about the way that I reached for her to pick her up and hold her above my head. And to me, that was a big deal because for almost 15 years, I'd been living with chronic discomfort in my back from a herniated disc. And certainly, I'm not claiming that any of these products cured the physical alignment of a herniated disc, but I think the improvement in inflammation in my body, I realized that when I reached and I picked up my daughter, for the first time in almost 2 years of her life, I was completely present in the moment. And I wasn't thinking about the way that I leaned wasn't going to hurt. I wasn't every day when I'd wake up, the very first thing I'd think about was that pain in my back. It's going to hurt when you stand up. When I was moving paper across my desk, turn your chair, not your body. When I tie my shoes. And then it dawned on me that I've never been truly present with my daughter, probably until that time. And that was pretty powerful to me as a dad. This wasn't the part where I told you I was going to cry. I'm holding strong here. This is the strong version of me. It was pretty powerful. And I realized then these products are doing something amazing inside my body. I don't need to understand it as a scientist. And I don't care who ridicules me for the rest of my life. If I can be a better dad, I'm going to do that. I'm still being strong here. A few months later, long story short, weather changes, seasonal allergy problems for years went away. The amazing thing is none of what I told you happened in the first 7 days. It didn't happen in the first 10 days or the first 2 weeks or even necessarily the first month. It took me a long time to get really unhealthy, and it took some time for me to see improvements. A year and a half in on products, I was still using them as a crutch. I wasn't necessarily working with them. I was letting them start to slowly prop me up, and I decided I was going all in. Because I wasn't in pain all the time, I could get up and move. I now had natural energy to be able to do that. And I had this amazing, Brittany mentioned, you make all these friends, this whole community that you didn't know you wanted. I realized I was surrounded by this amazing community of people that were more conscious about their health and wanted to see me succeed. So I got up. I started going to the gym every day because I wasn't in pain and I had more energy. I started drinking a gallon of water every day because you need to keep yourself hydrated, and we know these products work better when you do that. Long story short, in just a matter of a few months, I lost almost 50 pounds 2 years ago. I've kept almost all of that off, even despite having Achilles surgery last summer and not being able to work out as much. I feel amazing. Here's the point where I know I'll break down. I've listened to the whole call. So Tanya said, I've known Dan, her husband. We were office mates years ago in grad school. To hear how it's impacted her life, because we share. To listen to Nicole talk about how it's impacted her being the mom she wants to be for Ruby. Or how it's helped Harper or Katrina. It's amazing what it feels like to know that you're touching people's lives in that way. That's not something we can all say that we do on a daily basis. So for me, ladies, I've seen the names on the calls. Don't be selfish. Don't keep it to yourself. If you've got kids, you certainly want your husband, their father, whoever that is, to be healthy, be present. You want their uncle, their grandfather, whoever, to be a positive, healthy male role model in their life. There, I gave you what I told you I'd give you. I knew I wasn't going to make it through the end of that one. Thank you guys for being part of our Plexus family. I'll turn it back to my wife, Amy.
Thank you for sharing your story. You forget how far we've come because our new normal is completely different than it was 5 years ago. And so I think we forget how far we've all come, and it's just such a great reminder. And even, if we touch one person tonight through this call or through this recording, that's worth it. So thank you guys for joining me. Have a good night.